time sleeping with us this morning. Hey, it's so good to have you guys together. We're going to invite our praise team forward. Why don't you give them a nice welcome as they come up to lead us in worship. And real slow, we'll ask you guys to go ahead and stand up, and we're going to begin our time of singing some praises to the Lord.
Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you that we can all be in the same room together and be worshiping. And just thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you for our great speaker. And please let us hear something through him. Amen. Thank you. You may have a seat.
Well, hey guys, can we put it up for the worship team before we get into this? All right? Well, I am so excited about being here at Sioux Falls Christian. If you don't know, you have an awesome school, and you are so fortunate to be here. Like, even your superintendent, Jay, he might be one of the nicest humans on the face of the earth. Before I met Jay, I actually felt like you needed to be an angry old person to be a superintendent. And so even your superintendent is fantastic and awesome. And so you have an amazing school. My name is Adam, and I am one of the pastors at a church in town called Embrace. And the word is that you guys have had to watch me on a screen a couple times, a time or two. I know all your high schoolers are watching me right now as well. A couple of weeks ago, I had someone who would watch me on the screen. I'm not sure if they were from Sioux Falls Christian or not. And she came up to me and she said, "Can I be honest with you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's hear it." And she's like, "You're a lot shorter than I expected you to be." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" High schoolers, we don't know, I'm roughly 6'4", and so just take that into consideration. But no, I'm excited about being here. And just a quick question, how many of you attend Embrace? Let's see hands. Okay, awesome. For all of you who didn't raise your hands, if it's okay, I want to pray for you sinners, that you come to know Jesus. And no, I'm just joking. Kind of, sort of, no. But there are so many amazing churches in town here. Honestly, we are so fortunate to have the churches that we have, and I'm just excited about being able to do what I do. But once again, I'm just honored to come and share with you a message. And today's message is a message that has really been one that has challenged me personally. Even as I was working on it again this week, it's one that challenged me. I preached it several months ago, and the reason I'm actually preaching is because one of your classmates said, "Hey Adam, if you ever come to Sioux Falls Christian, would you preach this message? Because I really like this message." And so if you don't like this message, let me know and I'll give you their name, okay? But no, again, I'm excited about this message. Well, since the start of this year, 2021, I've been trying my hardest to be positive, like just to assume the best and to be positive, to see the best in other people. Like even though our world is filled with craziness right now, I've just been trying my hardest to wake up each day and see the best in others in our world. And I do really well. That is until I go to get in line at the Starbucks drive-thru, because at the Starbucks drive-thru, you see the absolute worst of humanity, okay? Like first off, we're all there to pay $10 for coffee, right? Or maybe I should say your parents are there to spend $10 for coffee, which if I'm just being honest, is a little sinful, right? It's like spending $10 for coffee, and some of you are like, "Pastor, please don't take coffee away from my mom. My mom needs coffee." Like she's a crazy person if she doesn't have coffee. Anybody have a crazy mom? If she doesn't, don't raise your hand at that one. And so we spend $10 on coffee. I will say I only spend $3.17 on my grande iced coffee, and so I'm not as sinful as some of your parents are that spend $10 at Starbucks. And so we go there, and it's just complete craziness. It's like coffee is turned into oxygen, and we need this coffee. And so in the mornings, on my way to work, I'll go to the new Starbucks, which is on 41st Street. Over there, and at this new Starbucks in town, there's like 3 different directions that you can go to get into the line at the drive-thru, which creates crazy people, okay? Like every single morning as I'm driving up there, you can see cars scurrying from every direction trying to get into line. It's like watching mice find cheese in a shady apartment, okay? It's just like, what is going on here? I mean, grown people are cutting each other off. Nice moms and dads are handing out middle fingers like lollipops. Pastors are swearing, okay? Not this pastor though. I've never sworn a single time in my life. God, don't strike me with lightning, okay? But we're all going there, and everybody is in mass chaos. The other day, I was going to get in line, and there was this sweet mother in the nicest minivan. And she just looked like a good Christian, godly woman. She was most likely listening to Chris Tomlin, worshiping, and I'm like, oh, this mom is definitely not going to cut me off. I mean, she's just so nice. She's with Jesus right now. She continued to cut me off in the worst possible way. I was so angry at her that I bought her coffee. No joke, I actually did. And so if your mother got coffee bought from me, that's not a good situation, okay? But anyway, so it's complete chaos, but why are we all crazy? Like, why are we all trying to get there? Because we all want to be first. We all want to go first. Like, never once in the history of my Starbucks experience has coffee ever ran out at Starbucks. It's like God's love. It has no end, okay? And so there's no fear that the coffee is going to run out. And actually the line at the new Starbucks is never very long. And I don't know why I'm telling all of you this, because now you're going to start going to that Starbucks, and I'm going to start wrestling with you. But we all, again, just simply want to be first. Why are we crazy? Because we want to be first. We want to go first. The only thing worse than the drive-thru at Starbucks is watching people at Target when a new shopping line opens up. Don't mess with Target mothers, okay? But there's something inside of us that just wants to go first. And on this note today, I want to look at a specific story. I don't think you guys have Bibles, which is kind of ironic that Sioux Falls Christian doesn't have a Bible. I'm just joking, that was a joke. If you do have a Bible, you can open it up with me to Matthew chapter 20. Otherwise, you can just listen in if you would like. If you don't have the Bible and you've got a phone or a device of some kind, I want to encourage you to download the Bible app if you don't have it on that. Just get it on there. It's just a powerful thing just to have Scripture just accessible. So I want to encourage you to do that. But picking up our story in chapter 20, verse 20, here's what we're told from a guy, our friend named Matthew. Matthew tells us the mother of James and John came to Jesus with her son. She knelt respectfully to ask for a favor. "What is your request?" Jesus asked. She replied, "In your kingdom, please let my 2 sons sit in the place of honor next to you, one at your right and the other at your left." And so again, the mother of James and John, she comes to Jesus. By the way, many believe that this was Jesus' aunt. It's his aunt. But she approaches Jesus with her 2 sons, and she asks for a favor. In response, Jesus says, "Let's hear it." And she says, "In your kingdom." Now many believe at this time that Jesus was going to become this powerful political king. "In your kingdom," she asked, "when you become king, is it possible for my 2 sons not just to be with you?" I mean, her 2 sons are already a part of the 12 disciples, but more than just being with you, even greater, when you become king, can my 2 sons sit at your right and at your left? Like, away from you, Jesus, can my 2 sons have the top 2 positions? What do you think, Jesus? Just to remind you, I know your parents, I'm your aunt, like, I should have some favoritism. Like, what do you think, Jesus? In response, listen to what Jesus says. Jesus answered by saying, "You don't know what you're asking. Are you able to drink from the bitter cup of suffering I'm about to drink?" "Oh, yes," they replied, "we are able." In this moment, James and John, they're excited. They're like, suffering? How bad could suffering be? Are you talking about like a bad comment on Facebook? Like suffering? Are you talking like an angry text message from your mother? Like suffering? Side note, when Jesus talks about suffering, he's talking about them dying. He's talking about death. Not like an angry Facebook comment or an angry text message. It goes on to say, Jesus told them, "You will indeed drink from my bitter cup, but I have no right to say who will sit on my right and on my left. My Father has prepared those places for the ones he has chosen." Jesus is basically saying, I don't get to pick that. Like, I don't get to pick that. That's my dad's call. If you want to do that, like, take it up with him. I don't get to choose that. Continuing on, though. When the other 10 disciples heard what James and John had asked, they were indignant. Translation, they were ticked off. They were angry. They were annoyed. I mean, James and John and their mother are going behind their back trying to get ahead of them. At this point, if I'm one of the 10 disciples, it's like, you had your mom ask? Your mom? Does she still tie your shoes too? Are you kidding me? What is going on here? At this point, Jesus is like, gather around. Let's not fight. Let's not be angry. Listen to this. Jesus called them together and he said, you know that the rulers in this world lord it over their people, and officials flaunt their authority over those under them, but not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave. Jesus is like current rulers, they like to go first. Current rulers, those in charge, they want to be first, and they want position and authority so that they can have power over other people, so that they can control others. But that's not how we do it. Jesus is like, we don't do it that way. Instead, whoever wants to be great must be a servant, and whoever wants to be first must be a slave. Get this, 2 other times right before our story, Jesus says the same thing, which means it must be really, really important. Like he's just like, I don't want you to miss this. Like, this is so critical. I'm going to say it 3 times in just a couple of words here. And so this is somewhat Jesus is trying to say. Jesus says this, the first will be last, and the last will be first. The last will be first, and the first will be last. So this is our story for today. And just to say it, this message is one that is hard to hear, and yet it's a message that I'm excited to hear. And I think that it's true for a couple of different reasons. First off, what Jesus is saying here is so different than anything we'll hear anyplace else. I mean, this is the opposite of what you'll hear elsewhere. But I also get excited because this is a message that God has personally been challenging me with the past couple of years. And I've seen the life and joy and goodness of God that it brings when it's actually about. And so that's why I'm excited to share this. So for the rest of our time today, looking at the story, I just want to pull out just a few simple truths and really let the story speak for itself. And so I want to start with this truth. First off, what's first to us is often last to God. Again, the first thing that I want us to cling on to is what's first to us is often last to God, and the opposite is just as true as well. What's last to us is often first to God. What does that mean? Hear this? What we find important and what matters the most to us, it's not just different from God, but often it's the complete opposite of what God is it's important. What's important to Him. It's not just different, it's often the complete opposite of what's important to Him. Again, James and John, they're asking for the best seats next to Jesus. I mean, just like every human that's ever lived, they want power, they want influence, they want recognition and status and whatever else. But Jesus is like, this is the complete opposite of what matters to me. And your priorities are 100% backwards of what matters the most to me and what I think is actually important. Jesus is like, you chase position, it comes and goes. You want fans? Fans are fickle. They'll be with you one day and they'll hate you the next. You're chasing security? True security is only found in Jesus. In a world that is constantly jockeying for position, true greatness is having a life filled with humility. I mean, what you think matters and what's the most important to you is often last to God. It's often last to Him. For me personally, I often look at my priorities, and one of the questions I've been asking is the things that I value and the things that I put all my time and attention, will they matter at the end of my life? Because what a failure it would be to succeed at all the things in life that really don't matter. To spend all your time and energy on things that really don't matter. And oftentimes, what I'll hear God say back to me is, Adam, the things that you think are so important, the things that you do all your time and energy on, they actually don't matter at all. They're things that are here today and they're gone tomorrow. And then Adam, the things that are small to you and the things that seem really insignificant to you and the things that don't matter to you at all, they're actually the things that matter the most. They're actually the things that are the most important to me. Again, what's first to us is often last to God. That's the first truth. The second truth that I want us to hold on to today is this. You're not ready to go first until you've gone last. Again, you're not ready to go first until you've gone last. Honestly, I almost laughed out loud reading today's story when I went through it. This mom approaching Jesus with her two sons. I swear this story took place last week. Doesn't this sound like parenting in 2021? I mean, hey, Jesus, or hey, teacher, or hey, basketball coach, or hey, future employer. I know I have no right to ask this because my sons have zero experience and they should get zero preferential treatment, but can you make them the special teacher's assistant in their second grade class? I know my kid can't make a layup for his life, but hey, basketball coach, can you make him the greatest on the basketball team? Can you do that? And I know he has no experience, but can you give him the best job with the best pay on day one? Again, I know they have no experience, but have you seen their Instagram account? Because their Instagram account is fantastic. And I just feel like because they're good at TikTok, they're going to be great at basketball, so can you make that happen, right? This is the epitome of entitlement, isn't it? And it's inside of all of us, myself included. I mean, we truly believe that we deserve to go first and be first without ever actually having to get into line. We want gratification instantly. We want everything right now. Overnight success for us and our friends. Jesus tells us, Mom, you don't even know what you're asking for. You don't even know what you're seeing. They're not ready. Want to go first? You're not ready until you go last. You want to go first? You need to get comfortable and be okay with last first. Quick side note, I hope none of your parents do this. I'm challenging myself as I say this. Why? Because people who get what they always want when they really don't deserve it end up becoming annoying spoiled brats. They're just the people that you just don't want to be around. And this is what the other 10 disciples are calling out. They're mad about it. You're not ready to go first until you've gone last. And so that's Jesus' advice for parents. Maybe try telling your parents that later today. Don't tell them who it came from. Just say it was one of your teachers, not the bald guy that preached at chapel, okay? But this is also really good advice for all of us with school, with music stuff, with sports, with our jobs. You're not ready to go first until you've gone last. And here's the best piece of advice that I could give anyone, myself included, every day. Simply go to school, go to sports, go to your classroom, go to music, go to your group of friends. Just go there and do the little things every single day, and I promise you that whoever's in charge will absolutely love you. Love you. If you're on the sports team, don't ask for more playing time. Don't ask for the promotion. Don't ask to be recognized. Just work your butt off to the best of your ability every single day, and I promise you, you will get more eyes and promotions than the person who asked for it. Just have a humble heart. And do this crap, I don't know if I can say that no one else wants to do every single day. And I promise you that people will take notice, and more than that, God will take notice. You're not ready to go first until you've gone last. And honestly, this is advice for all of us, regardless of our age, myself included. Instead of thinking, I deserve, think to yourself, how can I serve? Whenever you feel like I deserve, I'm entitled to this, I deserve this, I should get this, instead of thinking I deserve, begin to think, how can I serve? In this situation, what can I do to help somebody else? One of the most uncool things in our world right now is just serving. Having the heart of a servant. Just serving in every situation. Get this, regardless of our age. If we haven't spent our time going last, if we haven't spent our time doing the hard work, if we actually get what we want too early, it will ruin us. It will ruin us. If we get success too early, if we get on the team too early, if we get whatever too early, it will ruin us. I'm guessing all of us know somebody that got famous or got success too early and it ended up destroying their lives. You're not ready to go first until you've gone last. The third truth from today's story, this is the last truth that I want us to hold on to. It's really, really simple, but it's mind-blowing. It's this. The last is first. The last is first. If you're anything like me, you're like, that's not possible. Yes, the last is first. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, Jesus is like, the last is first. Jesus is telling us the last is best. The last is the goal. And it doesn't make sense. Like the achiever in me is struggling to do this. But why is last the goal? Because last is where Jesus is. Why should we strive for last? Because that's where Jesus is. Jesus goes last. He is last. You see, we are never closer to Jesus than when we choose, not when we're forced to go last, but when we choose to go last. We're never closer to the heart of God than when we choose to go to the back of the line, than when we choose to put another person first. Last is where Jesus is. Smart Christians, much smarter than me, they call this the great reversal. The last is first and the first is last. According to who? To God. On what planet? The one He created. The last is first and the first is last. Jesus is like, do you want to know what's on my right and on my left? I just see Him approaching this mom. Do you want to know what's on my right and on my left? It's 2 crosses. You want this for your sons? It's 2 crosses. It's not 2 thrones. It's 2 crosses. You don't even know what you're asking for. It's 2 crosses. Jesus is saying, if you want to be close to me, if you want to look like me, realize the last is first. You want to become more like me. You want to be pleasing to me. The last is first. You want to have more joy and peace and kindness and love in your life. The last is first. And so today, this is the takeaway. This is it. What is it? If you do this one thing, it'll change everything about you. It'll change the world around you. What is it? Go last. Go last. What does that mean? Each day, just wake up and live like you're owed nothing. Just wake up each day and just live like you don't deserve respect. You're not owed status and preferential treatment. Just go last, be last, serve, sacrifice, become less, become last. But I want to do great things. I know, go last. But I want to change the world. I get that, go last. But I want to make an impact with my life. I want to change. I don't want to be the same person that my parents are. I hear that Jesus is like, go last. Choose last. Become like the heart of a servant. For me personally, when I first started Embrace, I was 24 years old. And when we started the church, I was the only staff person. So I made the bulletins on my junky computer. I lined up the kids area. I cleaned nasty toilets after the services. It's amazing how nasty the toilets could be after just one service. I don't know what they were doing. If they're having a party in there or what, but it was pretty nasty. But literally, when I first started the church, I basically tried to cover everything except the singing. And I maybe should have even done the singing. I don't want to brag, but I was a 2-time All-Stater, okay? Not in sports, at choir, but be impressed, okay? Be very impressed. That was a joke right there. But I always think to myself now, that Embrace has added a couple more people, that if I ever get to the place where I'm too big to clean toilets, too big to help out, to serve, Lord, forgive me. If I ever get to the place that what I do now, in my heart of hearts, and just in my soul, and if I ever think it's more important than what I did when we first started, we had 32 people would come on a weekend, Lord, forgive me. I mean, sure, there's maybe a better use of my time right now than working on this or working on that, but never should anything be beneath me. To this day, I walk up and I at Sunday mornings will have armloads of trash in my hands from the parking lot because it was there on the ground. And instead of telling someone else to do it, it's like, hey, Weber, why don't you pick up the trash yourself? Again, nothing should be beneath us. Go last. So today I just want to ask, what does this look like for you? What does it look like for me? At your school, Sioux Falls Christian, what does it look like for you to go last? If you're the popular kid, what does it look like for you to go last? If you're the smart kid, what does it look like for you to go last? If you're the talented music kid, what does it look like for you to go last? And at your home, with your mom and your dad, what does it look like to go last? With your siblings who annoy you to death, what does it look like to go last? What about on the blocks that you live? What does it look like to go last on with your neighbors? What about people who don't look like you? Don't think like you, don't believe like you? People that maybe everyone else wants to overlook and laugh at or talk about or gossip about or pick on. What does it look like in those moments to go last? What does it look like to have a heart of a servant? Say, hey, Jesus, I feel like I'm first right now, but I'm going to choose to go last. Why? Because I want to be as close to you as I possibly can be. Again, what does it look like to go last? Jesus says, I promise if you do this one thing, it'll change everything about you and it'll change the world around you. I want to close today with this last thing. And honestly, I'd grieve if I didn't say this. Some of you are here today, and as I'm speaking right now, you feel last. You feel last right now. As I'm speaking, it's possible that you've maybe felt last your entire life. Maybe right now you're growing up in a home that doesn't have a whole lot of money, or maybe love, or maybe both. You feel overlooked even in your own home, and you just feel last. Or maybe you're not super talented. You're not as cute or as popular, as fun, as athletic, as successful or smart as the other kids, and right now you just feel last. You're not as good as your sibling, you're not as good as your friends are, you always feel like the outsider, the misfit, and you just feel last. I'll say it for myself, that was me. Growing up in school, I always felt last. I was like, if they found out the true story about who I am, and what a nerd I actually am, and how broken I actually am, and how unhappy I actually am, I just always felt last. Again, maybe that's you. And you're just like, forget about going first. I just don't want to be last anymore. If that's you, what I want you to hear from God is if you feel last, God says you're first. If you feel last, you're always last. You feel last in your home, at school, in your class, on the team, in the music group, whatever. If you feel last, God says you're first. You see, we have a God who is close to the brokenhearted. We have a God who's far from the proud. He's far from the proud, and he gets near the person who's just insecure and broken and feels unworthy of his love. We have a God who takes broken people. Anybody ever felt broken? We have a God who takes broken people, broken families. Maybe your mom and dad are just broken right now. He takes broken people, and somehow, some way, I'm not sure if that's a sign from God to pray or what that was. Oh my gosh, okay. Is that good? I feel like I should stop, drop, and roll right now or go to like a tornado. Or we have a God, though, who says that if you feel last, God says you're first. So that's why I want you here. Is that God sees you, God knows you, God loves you, he cares about you. If you feel last, God says you're first. I'm going to pray. Gracious Father, Heavenly King, I'm so grateful to be here at Sioux Falls Christian. I'm grateful for every person in this room, all the high schoolers that are watching as well. God, this message is not an easy one, but you challenge us to go last, to have the heart of a servant. God, that just goes against everything that I feel inside. I feel like I deserve, I'm entitled, I want this, I want that. And then you say, gosh, if you want to be like me, choose last. Go last. Serve. Sacrifice. Put others before you. And so God, today in this school, with our friends, with maybe the person who's the oddball, would you just challenge us to go last? Would we have your heart with our words, with the things that we say and do, the things we subtly say or joke about behind people's back? In that moment, would we choose to go last? And then God, for any person here who right now in this moment, for whatever reason, feels last, or that person who feels like they've always been last, would you just speak into our souls right now and just remind us and let us know the promise that if we feel last, you say we're first. You say, love us, care about us, see us, notice us. You want to use us for great things. Lord, we love you, we thank you, we pray all these things in the name of Jesus. All God's people said, amen.
You can stand with us to sing one last song.
You are dismissed.